So, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
you don't get each other I was going to say Christmas is on presents on Christmas. And
That's
we,
not a general thing. That's just this year we happened to come to that arrangement.
okay, just because you had said off air
Yes.
that, if you're an adult and you want something and you need it, you'll end up buying it. But if you're just buying something for the sake of it being Christmas, there's not really a whole lot of point to it.
Right.
Yeah, okay. This is
Yeah.
exposition for the
Okay.
listeners and or viewers who might have just joined us.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my counterpoint was my Christmas presents for Kaya, or my present Christmases for Kaya, was I got her a sheet set because we need a sheet set, and she'd actually asked for sheet sets for Christmas. But I also got her a cribbage board because when it's just the two of us and we want to play cards, cribbage is a popular choice. But I mean, she wasn't going to buy it for herself, so I got her this nice one. It's like in two halves,
Yeah.
and it's magnetically clipped together, so you can open it and all the pegs are in there, and there's a deck of cards in there. The pegs are also metal. I don't know how much cribbage you've played, but the pegs are frequently plastic and they break off in a little hole, and then you're stuck for the rest of the lifetime of that cribbage board just going, oh yeah, you can't actually, fit that peg into that hole because
Y-
it
You
doesn't
know
work
they
anymore.
they sell drill bits of various gauges that you could probably
That's next
remediate that
Christmas.
That's next Christmas. If this one breaks, I'll buy one of those, reverse threaded drill bits.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Or
That's
just I don't think you need to reverse thread it. You just put the drill in reverse direction.
Yeah, I forgot that cribbage pegs aren't actually threaded.
Right.
But so where does this fit within your? 'Cause, like, it's not something we needed, but it's something that she wanted that she wasn't really aware that she wanted.
That's just timing, though. If the timing of her wanting it happens to line up with Christmas, then by all means get it for Christmas. But if she had needed new sheets back in February, were you gonna wait 10 months to get her new sheets?
We basically did, yes.
Oh, well then. Different strokes for different folks, I guess.
Yeah. Could it be that we're not religiously married yet? We're just common law. And so I have to be on my best behavior because I haven't locked it down yet. Is that is
Is
that an
it?
alternative explanation?
I don't know if religiously married would be accurate, but I know what you mean.
Right. Civilly married.
Yeah, legally married. Officially married? I don't know. How do you want to call it?
I don't wear a ring on my finger.
There.
Mm.
Okay. So you don't acknowledge your
Wait.
married state.
Does she wear a ring on her finger? Because that's
She
also a
has
thing.
she has a couple, but not like her ring finger.
Okay.
Nick, does she have a purity ring?
It's opal. The opal cleanses all.
Oh man.
Rob, how was your Christmas?
My Christmas was good. It was very family oriented and much less. I'm not materialistic like you guys. Well, I guess just like Nick.
I was
It
gonna
was
say.
mostly family and clothes.
Wait, wait,
Okay,
wait.
okay, clothes.
I gave.
Okay, that's another topic here. Because for Emma, we were looking at gifts. It's like, well, she needs clothes, but that's a lame gift. So do you save your clothes buying for Christmas? How does that work?
Right. Yeah, that's tough.
I never got clothes for Christmas.
I only got
I get-
clothes for Christmas once I turned
I
like
get clothes. I get clothes for Christmas now, but like people buy me hilarious new graphic tees, and
Right, that's different. I do like
I
socks.
like them.
Do you get
Oh, I
socks for
get
Christmas?
socks too. If they're nice socks, like that is a solid Christmas present.
Hmm.
I love a pair of good socks, especially like the high-rise ones. Oh, I tried wearing some low-rise socks the other day, and it's just your calf feels so exposed. I don't know how people do it all the time. Like if I'm going for a run or something, absolutely, because the extra fabric isn't appreciated. But
Okay, but
man,
your high-rise socks, don't they just fall down?
Sometimes.
Continually throughout the day, I have to pull my dress socks up all the time.
You
Yes.
have to or you choose to.
Well, technically, I choose to. My pants
Maybe-
cover them, so
maybe
no one
you
else would
need to-
notice.
Maybe you need to work those calves so they're thick enough to hold the sock up.
That's probably the issue, really.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's definitely the issue.
Bro, do you even lift?
I don't actually.
Oh, see, that's the problem.
We should probably get talking about our actual topics.
Dun 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 dun.
I'll put the music in later. We don't
No,
need
no,
it
no,
right
no.
now.
I'm good. Dun, dun, dun. Keep talking.
Oh yeah, we have to fade it in. So we have some follow up from the last 3 weeks. We've been gone on our little Christmas vacation, and so I guess the biggest thing, the thing that we kind of teased, we had a little cliffhanger over the end of the year, was the Falcon 9 was launching on, I believe it was supposed to be December 18th. I think it ended up being December 19th that it launched. SpaceX tried again to land, to send something into space, to have it fully go into orbit. It released some satellites into orbit. I think it docked with the ISS as well, and then land the booster back down. And they decided to do it on ground as opposed to onto an autonomous drone platform in the ocean. And spoiler alert, in case you didn't hear about this a couple weeks ago, they did it. They managed to take the reign back on best. What do we call it again? Takeoff and
They're
landing.
the spaciest spacers that ever spaced. I think.
Yeah.
I think there's vertical takeoff landing.
Vertical takeoff and landing. That's
Yeah.
the one.
Yeah.
They managed to do it. They managed to land back down at Cape Canaveral, as opposed to Blue Origin, which you talked about. They landed back in the desert in the middle of nowhere. Falcon 9 did it. They landed back at the Space Center at Cape Canaveral. And the big news sort of from this week that I thought was interesting to talk about and that I have a link to is that they finished sort of looking over the rocket once it landed again and have okayed it to go again. So the objective of this isn't just to do it, it's to actually be able to redo it so they can reuse this booster. And they found the specific language was no damage found, ready to fire again. They're not actually going to fire this one again. This one was a proof of concept, and so they're going to hang on to it. It's sort of a relic. And the next one, maybe not the next one, but they're going to do a few of these, making sure that they can still do it every time before it's kind of used for anything that's absolutely critical, like humans, for instance. But they did it, at least.
One of the key differences, too, with their takeoff landing was that they actually delivered items or put some stuff into orbit and then landed. Like, this wasn't just, oh, let's get to the edge of space and then love come back down and then trash talk Elon Musk.
Yeah.
This was like, we're actually going to do something and we're going to land it and suck at Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, and that's actually what they did, and I'm super excited about this. They've been trying for the better part of a year and had a couple of, I guess you'd call, like, they were very close. And again, we talked about how landing on a barge in the middle of the ocean is a lot more difficult than just landing on the Earth, and so they decided to play it safe and only do this amazing thing and land it on a solid rock instead of on water. And they did it. Their first real try of this nature doing that.
So did they target a specific landing point the same way that Blue Origin did?
Yes.
Oh, so for all intents and purposes, they did land on a barge. It just
wasn't moving with the ocean. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I was gonna say, like, I mean, it's not. I assume it's not like it just came back and said, "Oh, that's land. I can land there."
Right.
Exactly.
Just picked any random patch of land in North America.
Yeah. No, it's very, very targeted.
Cool.
The next piece of news here, Mike. Actually, you have a couple. Do you wanna?
Yeah. Well, we've talked about self-driving cars on and off for
Have we?
the past. Yeah, a
Really?
couple times at least.
That doesn't
Once or
sound
twice.
like us.
No. There is news, I guess, kind of a leak, or just evidence of a partnership that Google has with Ford to manufacture a model of self-driving car. And from the author of the article that I read, it seems to indicate that they have multiple manufacturer partnerships. So
Yeah.
Ford isn't an exclusive partner, but it's cool to see them forging these partnerships and kind of making self-driving vehicles a reality using Google's technology, so that Google doesn't have to be, a manufacturer as well as the tech behind the car. Now, we had also, I can't remember if we talked about on the show about Apple's manufacturing facility or testing facility, that there is rumors of them coming up with their own self-driving car. So we'll see if there's a similar arrangement for Apple where they're partnering with another manufacturer to build their car versus kind of trying to do it themselves. Yeah. Because at that point you're, no pun intended, you're reinventing the wheel if you're trying to build your own self-driving car. It's like, well, just use an actual car manufacturer and then put your tech into it to actually make it self-driving.
Yeah. Well, as the article's author mentions, this is the old employee of Ford is heading up the self-driving car project. He was at Ford for 14 years, now working on the Google self-driving car. So that they all sort of know each other. They're somewhat family after that long, and so it's not really a surprise that they're working together again. But yeah, it's the first of many, or at least several partnerships that's going to be coming up.
Yeah. And the next piece of follow-up that I have relates to a new Android device that LG is releasing in the near future. Mm-hmm. That's been rumored or leaked to have what's being called a magic slot. From my understanding, this is the first time they've been integrating this piece of technology into their phone, and it's supposed to function in a similar way that the Continuum technology for the Windows Phone utilizes, where you're able to connect peripherals to your phone to kind of enhance the functionality of it, and possibly monitors or keyboards or what have you. So it looks like the Continuum port uses a dongle that you plug other things into that.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine this would offer a similar method of attaching peripherals, possibly.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see other phones have this, because originally I was kind of holding out for a Windows Phone with the Continuum kind of as my next phone, but I ended up finding a really good deal on an Android phone earlier this year, so I ended up getting that. But I think if other companies started using this type of integration where you're able to connect peripherals, I think you'll see a lot of people jumping on board for it.
Yeah, this was a pretty cool phone. I'm kind of disappointed that because I heard the author of the last piece we talked about, also wrote up a story about this piece of news, and I'm disappointed to see that our source is not that same article.
I gotta spread around the love and endorsements, Rob.
Oh, I understand. That actually follows somewhat nicely to the last piece of follow-up we have, Nick. I don't exactly know what this means. It's written in some code, but
so we previously discussed that you had a nice Christmas, right, Rob?
Yes.
And are you engaged in any sort of experiment on Facebook?
Well, I don't know if it's on Facebook. I'm engaged in some sort of experiment.
Okay, but not like Facebook specifically.
No.
Okay, then what is wrong with you the past few weeks? Over the holidays, your behavior on Facebook has just been abhorrent.
What?
Abhorrent.
What did I do?
What are we talking about?
Well, for now, we'll set aside the whole, Nick, do you know what redundant means? That little chestnut, that was great.
That was on Slack. That was on Facebook.
Okay, whatever. There was the whole snowpocalypse plea to the city of Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
And Rob, what I want you to do is go up north somewhere, maybe Elliott Lake or something like that. Isn't Amon from Elliott Lake?
He is from Elliott Lake.
I think so. I've seen to recall
that.
Okay, I think I've heard that once a long time ago. But I want you to go up north, say in March, and look at the snow in Elliott Lake in March, so that you know how good you have it right now, with one full car width to get through.
Right.
Back in Belleville, at the end of big snowstorms, you kind of have to zipper car parking so that you can actually like weave through and actually get through the street. I want you to know how good you have it.
Well, no, I understand. I understand that I'm lucky to be from a nice city, and I don't have to go through this horror of having to zipper through cars like you mentioned, where we
Yeah.
can have cars kind of recklessly parking on either side of the street, just all over the place, leaving you to basically have to do that to navigate our street. There are cars parked along both sides, leaving you, I described on Facebook, effectively 1.05 car
And when I
widths.
saw the .05, I went, well, what's the problem then?
Well,
I
the
actually
problem,
calculated that out, and it doesn't work out to very much room.
it's like 6 inches. Is that
Yeah.
is that ample room? Like if I had 1.00 car widths, I would literally be scraping paint with these other cars, and neither Julia or myself have any interest in doing that.
Well, no, you wouldn't.
So we have a little bit of buffer that we can, it's just ice that we're driving on. We
You know
can
how like the
carefully
car
navigate.
mirrors now like pivot just freely, a lot of them, the bigger car mirrors?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just push them out of the way.
Well, I mean, effectively that's what you have to do, but
Right.
that's like a couple more inches. You're laughing.
Yeah.
You're absolutely laughing.
Well, not wanting to cause any damage to other cars, we elected to not do that and just try to get people, because if you plowed the street, that would buy you a couple of extra feet at least to navigate, and why
Yeah,
not?
they come through with one of those snowbank chewers.
Yeah, but they don't. They didn't last year at all, and that was the problem. We had an ice block the length of a city block for 2 or 3 months.
So the fact that you're no longer living in the downtown Sandy Hill area may suggest that you will have to deal with that.
Yeah, it sounds
Now
like it.
on.
I'm hoping not to, but it seems like I will.
Yeah, okay. How many times have you shoveled since living in Ottawa?
I have shoveled a few times. I used to live in like the one room of a house for about 8 months, but for the most part, I've lived in apartment buildings or like a residence that they had people doing that.
Okay.
That was why I lived there.
Yeah, yeah. No, I just wondered because, I mean, I'm thinking back to, or I've now shoveled in Calgary.
Yeah.
Shoveling in Calgary is so much nicer than shoveling in Ontario, let me tell you. The
It
snow's
depends.
just like fluff. You can.
We've had like such dry snow. Every time we have a snowfall, I tell Emma, I'm like, let's go build a snowman. And I go out, and it's like
no.
sand. It's sand. That's all it is.
I see people like the city clears with like these big like brushes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a giant brush, and the snow just goes. It's the craziest thing. I saw people clearing snow with like leaf blowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would never happen back home. You just like sit there blowing at it, and like maybe a chunk would move, and you'd be like, "Well, this was a stupid idea."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice and dry.
Yeah. So okay. So yeah, we're through that. But now, Rob, I just wanted to have a chat with you on air about the last one.
Yeah.
Now, Mike, for the purposes of exposition, I'm going to have a little side chat with you. Do you remember my post on Facebook that, I was hanging out with some friends for New Year's Eve, and some alcohol was being imbibed, and my chest was getting touched a little bit,
Yes.
and I was berating these people,
Yes.
and then someone walked up to me and looked at me and said, I don't know why you would complain when you're wearing such tight clothing, and then walked off. I was like, what? And so I went to Facebook and posted as much. And Rob's deeply, deeply empathetic response was, "Pics or it didn't happen."
Yeah.
Pics or it didn't happen, Rob?
To be fair,
Pics or it didn't happen?
it sounded fairly outlandish. In Rob's defense.
My aim was not remotely to suggest that anybody needs to prove that this contact happened. I just wanted to actually see it because that's something that I find, enjoyable.
So my complaint about being objectified was met with further objectification.
Well, yeah,
That was appropriate.
I've been having this conversation with people
Do
in
you
the
remember
last
the
few
topless
months.
episode of East Meets West, Rob? Because
I
I don't
do.
think you do.
The point is equal opportunity ogling.
I'm just going to let that hang so that people can fully appreciate it. Maybe on your listen back, you can fully appreciate it.
Okay, can we move on? Is this rant over?
Nick, do you feel like do you still feel as though that was inappropriate by these people?
The touching less so, but like being victim blamed about it, yeah, I felt that was inappropriate.
Who was blaming?
Was the comment a tongue-in-cheek joke? Not that it makes it
No.
okay. Not that it makes it
No.
okay or a good
Just, like,
joke.
straight up walked up and like furrowed brows, like, I don't see how you can complain about being touched when you're wearing such a tight shirt, and then walked off. It was a sweater. They stretch.
Yeah, what I was asking for really, and it wasn't a suggestion, it wasn't mandatory. I just wanted to understand what we were dealing with. How tight was it? What was the lighting like? All these things.
Rob, there are better ways of asking that question.
Like Snapchat? Is that what you're saying?
Let's move on.
Nick, we taught you Snapchat.
This was off topic from the beginning
We
and
taught
not
Mike
related at all.
Snapchat.
I know we talked about how important it is and what its uses are.
We were teaching Mike, not me.
No, I know we.
Oh,
you
yeah,
and I
yeah,
were
dude.
teaching, and yet you seem unfamiliar with its.
You should
with its
have said,
applications.
like, hey, Nick, snap me a picture of this so we can both appreciate how ridiculous that person was.
I'm not saying that person was not ridiculous. I'm just saying I wanted to see a picture of your chest.
I just, like, if this were actually a real workplace, I'd totally ask for sensitivity training.
That's fair. I mean, it's not, but
You can still
We're
ask
not
for
getting
it.
paid? Why do I keep getting a check in the mail from you?
I was legitimately like, I don't think what that person did was okay. But me
Okay.
joking about it, I don't think that crosses the same line.
Would it if a woman made the same complaint?
Depends on the relationship I had with that woman.
Okay.
Okay.
And yes,
I-
Mike?
Are we okay?
Yeah, let's start talking about cell phones. How many cell phone stories do we have?
We have lots,
they're
actually.
All of them? Okay.
Well, mobile. They're not necessarily cell phone. They're
Oh,
mobile
right.
stories.
They're completely different things.
It is.
All right.
It really is.
Nick, I will address your comments on a different platform once I've had some time to think about them. Maybe next week.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll address it. Mike, you have a trio of different stories here under a common theme.
Yes.
Why don't you start with those?
Well, I would have brought these up 2 weeks ago, but we didn't do a show. And I would have brought them up last week, but we also didn't do a show. So this week I'm talking about them because I thought they were interesting. And they're all kind of related to changes or advances in how we treat mobile, cell phone, and device plans and that type of thing. And I guess the first one, since it's listed first, is one of the, I don't think we call it an MVNO. I guess not even really an MVNO. They're just kind of an independent service provider that piggybacks on other
I think
companies'
that's what
networks.
an MVNO is.
I thought they're supposed to be owned by a parent company.
No, it's just the fact that they're a virtual network because they
Okay.
piggyback. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll call it an MVNO then. Roam Mobility, who have been more prominent in the States for their roaming plans when Canadians travel or internationally anyway, they're coming out with a Roam Mobility Canada service that allows for you to use your iPad using the Apple SIM on their network or their, and again, it's not their network because they have agreements with the actual network providers, but you can purchase services through them for either per minute, per day, or per month iPad use,
Mm-hmm.
and it's independent of your existing plan. So it's essentially just a separate service that you can get for your iPad instead of having to go through, say, Fido or TELUS to link your device to your existing contract or your plan and pay for data through there. So I think it's really cool because, Rob, you've mentioned in the past how you have a data plan for your iPad,
Yeah.
or you did, or you do,
I do.
and that's more just a just-in-case situation where you might need it. So this one, because you can purchase the plan right on your iPad when you need it, that removes that need to link it to your contract and pay a per month charge just in case.
Right.
Which I think is a really good idea, and I think a lot of people could get use out of this. I don't know how many people will because it's still a fairly under the radar service, I think, but I think is a good start, and hopefully you'll start seeing a lot more of this type of offering, I guess, for devices, because so many devices are internet connected now, and you're not going to need them all the time, but when you do need them, you want to have the ability to use them. So
Right.
I think even if you could have it like for wearables as well, that type thing, and then wearables are coming out with SIM slots to put SIMs in. So this is the kind of thing that I think would be beneficial for those types of situations.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by it. I do note that it is insanely expensive.
It is. No, I never said it was a good deal. It's just.
What are the
Yeah.
prices?
Here, it says it in the article here.
For Canada, it is. There's a bunch of different plans, but for Canada, by the hour, for 1 hour, you get 15 megabytes for $1. 15 megabytes. By the day, they give you 100 megabytes for $6. And then there's a couple by the megabyte plans that get you 250 megabytes for $14.99 and 500 megabytes for $28.99.
Okay.
So it's not great. By that plan, you may as well get just a regular iPad SIM card from any of the carriers because that'll get you several gigabytes for $28. But
And does this work cross-border?
Yeah.
it works cross-border, but I believe it seems like when you switch countries, it's a different plan, so the data wouldn't transfer.
Well, it's different pricing, but that's the thing. It's not really a plan. You're just buying a bucket.
But like if you went to the U.S. and you bought a bucket and then went to Canada, you wouldn't keep that bucket. You have to buy a Canadian bucket.
Yeah, that's right. But you can access the service.
Absurd if you actually think about it in terms of buckets.
Right.
It's like, oh, I can't use this bucket here. It's no good here. Got to pick up this other bucket.
Yeah. Which makes sense because there are agreements with the country-specific carriers. So.
Yeah.
So, you got a Canadian bucket there. We can't fill it with water, beer, chocolate, or whatever.
Maple syrup.
You got to have the American bucket, which you can rent for a reasonable fee.
Yes.
Fill it with chicken.
Ooh. Fried chicken?
Yes.
Is there any other kind?
I thought that was implied.
There's no other kind that comes in a bucket, that's for sure.
Yeah, so, and in a related story, which is fairly coincidental, Project Fi, the Google service that is data only that piggybacks on the existing carriers, they now support tablets and internet-only devices that you can add on to your cell phone plan, and they don't charge a per-month device fee for those. So it's a very similar service to Roam's, but with Project Fi, you'd have to have the existing device voice plan, I guess, with them, but it's all still data based.
Mhm.
At least that's still my understanding of it. Is that with the Google Fi, it's all data oriented, like is voice over LTE
Right.
that they use, or Wi-Fi, I guess, for that case. And so yeah, that's another kind of good advancement. Hopefully, we'll start seeing Project Fi become available in places other than the States.
Yeah.
Because
The big concern for me again is that we haven't actually hit, kind of a plateau or a reasonable data rate. So even plans like Google Fi, when we originally talked about it at its launch, they're not charging a sort of connection fee for non-phone devices, even though they are connecting to the network. But it's still insanely expensive to buy packets of data. Like we've talked about before, you can transfer a gigabyte for like it costs carriers like a cent to transfer a gigabyte of data, and we're paying at least like $10 for it.
yeah,
It's still kind of gouging customers, but I would like to think that as competition comes in, and especially with kind of either ubiquitous Wi-Fi or 5G or whatever the network is that finally does give us blanket coverage, that they will stop being able to so easily gouge us. Because the whole thing that carriers keep doing is they had Edge when sort of cell networks were just getting started, then they got 3G and then 4G, and we never really hit cell ubiquity. We never really hit it everywhere. It keeps getting upgraded in cities and kind of as you get a little further away from cities, but there's no coverage that's good and fast everywhere yet. And so eventually I think we're going to stop seeing speed upgrades and network upgrades, and we're just going to see it kind of cover everywhere there are people. And at that point, I think there'll be, if there's enough competition at that point and people haven't bought stuff out, then we'll see prices start to come down to at least more reasonable, because they won't be able to make the argument that, oh, we're building out infrastructure, so we need these more subsidies for that, and so prices will drop accordingly.
So, quick question.
Mhm.
With ubiquitous cell coverage, are you referring to a country specifically or just Canada?
Well, Canada is a little tricky because a lot of us.
Because we've got 30 million people
yeah.
over like everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because I mean, I'm looking at that and I'm like, the issue is clearly population density in Canada. Like, and that said, like the States has 10 times the population, but not a tenth the land mass.
Mhm.
So like they have a similar issue in which there are vast swaths of space with nobody.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
I think the solution to that is going to be somewhat similar to radio, in that you can tweak the frequency of the radio waves for a cell tower and get a much broader kind of coverage. And so
yeah,
basically,
but those are going to be different frequency bands, which
yeah.
may
So
or
in
may not
different,
be able to use.
yeah. So in cities, the problem is you need a lot of cell towers because there are a bunch of people trying to connect. You need cell pockets that are at a specific frequency that everyone can connect to. But as you get further out and less populated, there are less devices. And so, in effect, what you end up getting is you get the limiting factor isn't population density and cell coverage. It's the fact that you can't set up a tower that covers things, because there are different kinds of technology. I'm explaining this very poorly. So in cities, you have dense population and you need a lot of cell towers per unit area, and so you don't need long-range cell signal. But in less populated areas, you have very few people, low population density, so you in theory wouldn't need a lot of cell towers to cover those people, but they're far apart, so you'd need a long range. So I think that the generation of cell technology that will accomplish this will be able to work on multiple frequencies, some of which are short, some of which are long, to be able to cover both those cases. Or you could have, in theory, just two slightly different technologies that work that way. So in a perfect world, you'd be able to have your phone in a city. use a cell tower that's nearby to you in the way that we think of it now in a city. But if you go outside the city, you'd have cell towers lined up every few kilometers as opposed to much closer. And
Oh,
the
man,
cell
and,
towers would
like,
be able to connect over longer distances.
in a dense city,
Well,
you have
that's-
them on every other apartment building.
Exactly.
Yeah, so when we talked about the new, I think they're calling it a 5G technology, but it was using like a cell, like it was they use interference patterns to generate these signals that you basically daisy chain all these not dates, but transmitters of the signal, so that, like you were saying, along a highway you just have every however often these devices that transmit the signal, instead of having to invest in like a giant cell tower that covers a specific area. And that's exactly what that technology is trying to accomplish, is that issue of one cell tower to service however bunch of people versus, a bunch of cells that service a specific number of people, but every however often.
Right.
And that's essentially what you're describing there.
Now, what if? Because so many people complain about windmills, right?
I like where you're going.
I don't know about so many, but yeah, a lot
of people just absolutely hate windmills.
Yeah.
And people also hate the look of cell towers, but most of them will be like, "Oh my God, it's ugly, but we desperately need it."
Yeah.
Yeah. What if we just
combine them?
Listeners will not see me intermingling my fingers. But yeah, what if you just had like a little cell tower going through the main shaft of a windmill? Or alternatively, like put a little bit. Yeah, I know. No, somehow do a thing and it'll all work out. Yeah, it'll be great.
Let the engineers worry about that.
Yeah, just a little Faraday cage on the cell tower, which I think will, completely
block it.
Yeah. Or just mount a little vertical axis wind turbine on every cell tower. Problem solved. You're welcome, humanity. Address your checks to Unwind Media.
I'm concerned about like we discussed, the intricacies of not only having sort of moving metal swirling around a cell tower, but also the fact that is generating electricity. So that means there's a generator somewhere nearby that will also be throwing off electrical interference. I'm concerned. I don't think it's possible.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
So, Mike, what's the last story you have here in Mobile Corner?
I think that's all I had, wasn't it? Oh no, I did have one more. Yeah. So then another MVNO, it appears, is called Sugar Mobile, and they're similar to. It sounds like they're similar to PC Mobile and the 7-Eleven Speak Out service. That they're again piggybacking on the networks, but they've offered a service where you pay $29 for your starter kit, where you get a SIM card and 1 month of service, where you get unlimited talk, text, and data over Wi-Fi, and then 200 megabytes of non-Wi-Fi data. And that's where the integration with the existing networks come in, is that they buy data in bulk, similar to TechSavvy, I guess, that they do for the ISP side of things. And they offer 200 megabytes to their users for that $29. I don't know if that's the per month cost, or if it drops after that first month because you're buying the SIM card. But either way, for the monthly rate, you get the unlimited use over Wi-Fi and then 200 megabytes of non-Wi-Fi data. And it operates through an app similar to Skype or Facebook Messenger for that matter, where all the calls and messaging is directed through the app. And so, but you're still using the SIM card to access that 200 megabyte non-Wi-Fi data. So it's for people who are more often than not on Wi-Fi, who might not use a ton of non-Wi-Fi data, but for those who need some, occasionally you have that 200 megabytes, and then you can buy additional data in buckets. And I think it's about $15. Hold on, I have the numbers here, but it's a I guess reasonable rate for a couple extra data. That puts it in line with, a $40 to $45 per month plan.
Okay.
And the big thing with this, I think, is that it's acknowledging that a lot of people do stick to Wi-Fi and don't need a ton of non-Wi-Fi data, especially if they're just messaging. But it still allows them to have that smartphone and without having to sign like this giant data plan that they're never going to use. And I actually came across someone on Twitter not the other day, but a couple months ago that was in that position where he only needed, a couple hundred megabytes of non-Wi-Fi data, but TELUS made him sign this 2 gigabyte per month contract because that was the lowest kind of plan offering that they had.
Right.
So this sounds like a pretty kind of beneficial service for those who would be in that same position.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. It seems just this past couple of weeks the landscape's been changing a little bit with what's available, and I think a lot of people aren't familiar with a lot of these types of services. So hopefully people are able to do some research and find something that works for them, because there's a lot out there. You have your power users who use 15 gigabytes a month, and you have people who use close to zero. So I think at this point, there's a lot out there for those who don't use a lot of data, but there isn't a ton out there for those who use a bunch of data. So unless you're on one of those grandfathered plans.
Right. That's the weirdest thing to me, is that we're seeing all these plans come up, and they serve people who don't use a lot of data or use a lot of data on Wi-Fi, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, even for the last couple months where I've been without work and where I've been at home 90% of the time, I'm looking at my data right now, and in the last 3 weeks approximately since my plan rolled over again, I've used 5 gigs of data. Like, I've been home all the time. I'm still using like lots. I'm still using it to the point that a 5 gigabyte plan would not cover me for the month.
But do you turn on Wi-Fi at home?
Yeah, always.
On your phone? Oh, really? Oh.
Like I said, I use an insane amount of data apparently.
Why would you turn Wi-Fi on at home though if you have unlimited data on?
Because it's faster.
If you notice the difference, but
on uploads I notice the difference.
Oh,
like when I'm backing up pictures, or videos. Yeah, that's the only reason I would do it. Also because then it can talk to my computer, and I can either watch videos or like connect to. If I'm on Rogers, I can sign in and like view cable stuff because we have the cable package.
Right.
Yeah, there's a bunch of weird restrictions like that kind of suck.
Yeah, I've been using it for Chromecasting a lot because Shomi has the Chromecast app.
Right. Yeah.
And we're on the 2-month trial of Shomi, so we've been playing with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we actually had some Chromecast dongles on the campaign.
Oh yeah.
And I'm wondering what the ultimate fate of them was, because I bet I could buy it at a discount.
Probably.
Yeah.
Was that to just plug into monitors to show stuff?
Yeah. Well, like, as you came to visit me a couple times, do you remember the big TVs as you walked in with the pictures rotating through on them?
Not particularly, no.
Oh, okay. Well, it happened.
Okay.
We also played music on them. It was a good time.
Nice.
Nick, I'm noticing that most of our stories are technology. Do you want to take us in a bit more sciencey direction?
Well, I hate to break it to you, Rob. This is a new technology.
It's a lot more sciencey than technology.
It's definitely a tech story. And the technology in question is the polymer cyclodextrin. And I'm trying to pull up the article, dealing with some lag.
Nick, I hate to break this to you, but this is science that happens to involve a technology.
So, semantics aside, Scientists have developed a new reusable polymer that can remove pollutants from flowing water within seconds, just like air fresheners trap invisible air pollutants in the home and remove unwanted odors. But in all seriousness, like, clean water is a huge problem, particularly in the developing world. And like we've talked before on the show about the glory of beer and how it actually shaped civilization and even human evolution because it was a water supply that was clean, like it had been boiled and sterilized.
Right.
But like not sterility is good, but that doesn't remove every problem from the water supply. Like, especially in places like Bangladesh, you have a lot of heavy metals in the water, which, as I'm sure you will appreciate, Rob, is a problem.
Yeah.
But this is a polymer. I actually haven't seen the structure yet, so I'm gonna just leave some dead air. But so it's similar to activated carbon in that it will trap things.
Right.
But the beauty of it is, like, I mean, it traps and it binds tighter than activated carbon will, but you can also wash it in a few seconds in some ethanol or methanol.
Right.
Which means it's totally reusable. And, I mean, I don't know what the cost is, but that's so exciting for the developing world. Like, there are a lot of, I don't know, church fundraisers and stuff like that. I'm getting so excited I can't talk. There are like a lot of low-level fundraisers like churches, local organizations, that kind of stuff that will buy things like mosquito nets for people.
Right.
And that's good because mosquitoes and malaria kill a lot of people every year.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could get some of this low-level fundraising going towards cyclodextrin purifiers, you could provide clean drinking water to so many people.
Sure.
Because it's portable and all you need is ethanol or methanol. I mean, like,
That's
you need
not
a lot.
that hard to come by.
I mean, I guess ship it with the cyclodextrin for a while or something.
Yeah.
Just as long as people don't drink it, you're okay. Methanol's probably a better choice.
You say methanol is apparently a better choice?
Probably.
Oh, okay.
Because you don't get drunk on it.
Well, yeah, but I would say ethanol is a better choice because that way you're not going to accidentally die if you accidentally drink it, or if you decide to drink it.
Well, I mean, I'm sure shipping pure ethanol would lead to a few deaths.
Yeah.
Unless you put that, I don't know, they do it with the rubbing alcohol and the hand sanitizer. They put the embittering agent in it so that you'll actually puke before you get too drunk.
Sure.
Which really sucks. I don't know, have you ever like used hand sanitizer and then tried to eat a sandwich?
No, I don't use hand sanitizer.
Oh, well, I've done it before.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because we have hand sanitizer at work.
Right.
So especially after dealing with cash and stuff like that, which is just absolutely filthy.
Sure.
Sanitize your hands, eat a sandwich. But if you get any bites with like a lot of that on it, it's just awful.
See, I never understood people who use just hand sanitizer because it doesn't actually clean. It sanitizes, it doesn't clean though.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you probably need both.
Hand sanitizer and then soap?
Or other way around.
Or just soap.
Or just soap, yeah. Don't really need to be sanitized. I wonder if this thing affects the taste of water very much. Because I know with the carbon filters it doesn't affect the taste, at least not that I've noticed.
I just want to pause and appreciate the Canadian accent you put on that.
I didn't notice.
The carbon filters. Well, yeah, get some good carbon filters on there. We'll go to the show in the snow.
Oh man. I look forward to seeing this because, like you mentioned, Nick, I haven't really heard of this compound either, this polymer, and so I'm intrigued to see how it goes through testing.
You should see the structure. I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah.
Like it's not it's not like MOFs, but it's also not terribly dissimilar to MOFs in that it's just you're looking at it like, oh my God, there is so much surface area here.
Right. It's not. This article is not sourced at all. I'm very concerned with publication.
This New Delhi TV or whatever it is. Yeah.
I believe them, but it's weird that there's no. The last two paragraphs are the same, and then or almost the same. There's a matching paragraph or a sentence, and then there's no link to the journal.
Yeah. It does say the findings were published in Nature.
Yeah.
But
unverifiable at the moment without significant possibly Googling.
Yeah.
Mike.
Okay, hold on. Wikipedia seems to support this.
Okay. The cyclodextrin, you mean?
Yeah. These molecules can effectively immobilize inside their rings toxic compounds like trichloroethane or heavy metals, or can form complexes with stable substances like trichlorphon, an organophosphorus insecticide, or sewage sludge, enhancing their decomposition.
Okay.
Yep.
So these are things that have been used before for other things, but now they're being used for purifying water.
I got the book Thing Explainer for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
And it's that explanation, Rob, was right out of Thing Explainer. That was good.
Of course.
Yeah. It's a thing that they used for other things before, but now they use it to clean water.
Yes. They were discovered in 1891, cyclodextrins were. That's
crazy, right?
Yeah. Cool.
But I mean, yeah, you look at the structure and it's like, yep, I can see that.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. Crazy. So, Mike, you want to get into round two of your... These are more, I guess, non-operator related, but they're still mobile stories?
Yeah. Well, the big news, at least in Canada, was Shaw buying Wind Mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy and unexpected, at least for me. I don't know, maybe people closer to the industry.
I don't think people saw that coming.
Yeah, but it's kind of crazy. Like,
I mean, the guys that owned Wind for a long time weren't happy about it. What on earth is happening with my lighting situation? I just looked down and went, "Good God, I'm blue." Da-boo-dee, da-boo-die. But Wind Mobile, for the longest time, was very unhappy with breaking into the Canadian market.
Well, they found a lot of barriers to increasing their not only their infrastructure but just their what's it called? Not the
reach.
The frequency.
Spectrum.
The spectrum. Yeah, I guess that's what you call it. Because I guess these spectrums pockets, I guess, go to market or to auction, and they've had a hard time kind of getting any sort of share in that.
Yeah.
And so I guess they were on the market as a company, and Shaw decided to pick them up. And as far as Shaw is concerned, they're trying to compete with TELUS and Rogers and Bell, I guess, because I think they all have both TV and mobile.
Yeah, they do.
And so Shaw was kind of the odd man out, where they're big in the TV space and not present in the mobile space. So this kind of gets their foot in the door there, and I'm excited to see where Wind goes. Obviously, they're not going to be, the epitome of discount carrier in Canada anyway,
right?
Because they're going to have to kind of invest some more money into infrastructure. But at least they've got some capital behind them now, and it should change the game a little bit to at least go from hopefully big 3 to big 4 in Canada. I know there are some people talking how Shaw is partly owned or parent owned by Rogers already.
Yeah.
So this actually limits or reduces competition, but I don't know. I didn't see it that way, but I can see why it might look like that.
Right.
But yeah, Wind actually recently, for their, was it their 10th birthday? No, 6th. Yeah, there's their 10th birthday, and they were still being called a startup and an upstart, and it's like, guys, they've been around for a long time and they have 1 million users. I don't think they're really a startup.
I mean, compared to how long has Bell been around? Bell Telephone?
But
it's been around a bit longer.
Sure, but I think just to call them a startup isn't really fair to them. They've done a
Yeah.
lot, and they've lasted a lot longer than a lot of other smaller companies have been around for. So,
Sure.
but yeah, it's exciting to see where they're gonna go, and I hopefully once their infrastructure increases a bit, I'll start considering them if I ever have to switch carriers.
Right.
They had a good deal over Christmas. It
They
might
really
still
did.
be on. I was looking at it going, whew, I could almost use that so long
Yeah.
as it worked everywhere.
That's always been the case with Wind, right? Nick, you
Yep,
had them for a while, and
I sure did.
yeah,
I was,
unfortunate.
I think I was classed as an early adopter. I was
Probably.
Yeah.
in the door the day they opened.
Yeah.
How'd that work out for you?
Really well for a while.
Until you
Yeah.
had to use your phone in your basement.
No, I was
Or-
in an apartment
Oh.
where it didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever I came home, I would always just take a pot and put my phone in the pot for a little bit to reset, so it realized it wasn't roaming anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, that's funny.
that's how that went.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's that news that happened over the holidays. Then we had some investigation. I guess not investigation. Some questions posed to some of the U.S. carriers on their policies about giving free content to subscribers. And the FTC was saying, "Hey, so this free stuff you're doing, what's all that about?" And it was obviously related to net neutrality and people kind of crying out that these services violated net neutrality when you'd sign up for, say, Virgin Mobile and you got free access to Spotify or
Yeah.
that type thing. And as far as net neutrality goes, these types of deals don't violate that because there's various reasons why, and I think I agree that they don't, but it's
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
it's a dangerous precedent and kind of that snowball effect type thing that if you start not paying attention to what these companies are doing, it might turn into a violation of net neutrality.
Yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts on the networks giving kind of content that doesn't contribute to your data cap?
They have a bunch of different like music, things like Netflix subscriptions,
Yeah.
even YouTube. They talk about how they've made agreements, and so they're not violating net neutrality because there's no monetary advantage. Like, it's not costing users any more or less. It's just it's an agreement sort of behind closed doors, and the
I
fact
think
that it. Sorry, go ahead.
part of it, I think, is that they're not limiting other services from accessing the
Right.
user base. They're just giving motivation or incentive for their users to use a specific service.
Mhm.
So it's more, in my mind, it's more of a anti-competition case
Yeah.
than a net neutrality case. But I don't think that should be like. Yeah, I think that's kind of more the issue, and just the fact that it's not that it's free to use it, but that it doesn't contribute to the data cap.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if you're bumping up against that cap, it's like, oh, I guess I'll use Spotify instead of Pandora,
Mhm.
and then Pandora loses that use from that
Right.
kind of thing. But it's like, well, I that's just competition, I think.
Yeah.
What I think I find most aggravating about it is that they're giving away, like with Rogers, you get NHL Game Center
Yeah.
or something like that. I think what I find most aggravating about it is that they just give that away and the corresponding data because they're like, oh yeah, we'll easily make the money back with all the other crap you buy from us.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can afford to just give it away, why does it cost so much in the first place?
Yeah.
Well, and it's why are there caps in the first place? That's kind of the biggest thing that.
Yeah. It's like, you can, and I mean, how quickly would you go over your cap if you were using NHL Game Center Live on mobile?
Yeah.
Like, it would
Does
just gone if you were streaming in HD.
Does NHL Game Center not contribute to mobile or like Wi-Fi data if you're on Rogers? I'm not sure that's a thing.
Oh, wait, okay. I thought you wait.
We're talking
You have
data
access
caps.
to it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but doesn't it not count when you're streaming it?
I I have been like either Wi-Fi or mobile. I've been operating under the impression that it did count, just that it's free. Like it's free to use. You have access to the service.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm mistaken then.
It's possible I'm mistaken. I've been streaming NHL Game Center thinking that it's using my data, at least on Wi-Fi.
If only there was a way we could figure this out.
If only it would be easy to figure out and not it wouldn't be extremely difficult to find buried in details of the agreement somewhere.
If only we could just ask a robot a question.
I mean, do you want to ask a robot a question?
I'll try and ask a robot a question.
I don't think the Rogers Helps Twitter account is a robot. It's just,
I don't think we're going to get an immediate answer here.
I don't know. You'd be surprised. Last time I added Rogers into a conversation, they replied to me right away. They're like, "Oh, so can I help you with anything?" I'm like, "No, but thanks."
Hmm.
But anyway,
There's some here from National Post. Will Rogers allow you to watch? Yeah, this article also points out that there's there's still blackouts and stuff. Like there are some games you can't watch on NHL Game Center, which seems crazy. But
I hate that so much.
yeah,
It's like, yeah, I mean, you won't fill the stadium if we don't black it out. Really? Really?
they do say it still counts towards your data cap in this article.
Oh, okay.
So this wouldn't even count. The only thing about this that would contribute to the net neutrality discussion is the fact that it's bundled with Rogers plans.
yeah. Well, the crazy thing I think is with T-Mobile's Binge On program, where they literally allow HD video streaming unlimited. Like there's no data cap for that.
HD in quotes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because they limit it to was it 480? They
Yeah.
limit it to So, but still. I think it's kind of crazy that you can do that and just keep watching forever and ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see where
God.
that goes and if there's any more investigation or regulations relating to that
here-
kind of thing.
It says that data consumption is approximately 1 gigabyte per game when streamed to a smartphone, and 2 to 5 gigabytes per game when streamed to a tablet.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sounds
so
about right.
just you can watch it on mobile, but don't is what I get from this.
I have and have very much enjoyed it.
Yes,
but yeah,
I know
don't.
you have, Rob. Can you think of a Rogers plan that would allow you to do so?
There's not a Rogers plan that would allow you to sanely do so. No.
Oh.
So
Thanks, Rob.
the last network mobile related story that I have is that Verizon is now offering $650 per line to switch to Verizon from your existing carrier, which is pretty interesting, I think. And the catch is that they're just going to buy you $650 of credit for whatever carrier you're with to pay off your old or your buyout fee, I guess. So they're not paying your carrier directly or writing you a check. It's just like if it costs you $300 to buy out of your contract, they'll cover that in the form of paying a gift card or a credit to pay to your carrier.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know, it's a crazy market out there. It's and again this kind of thing is like, well, if they're willing to throw away $650 per person, it's like why even have buyout fees? It's
Absolutely.
kind of stupid, but that's I think now again, like you're seeing companies just get rid of contracts altogether. So I think we're going to start seeing the end of just being locked in and at the mercy of these carriers.
Right.
Quick note, by the way, Belleville, Ontario is mentioned in the Game Center Live page specifically.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, the NHL out-of-market French package. It's only available west of Belleville, Ontario.
Nice. You got a shout
Actually, I
out.
think it's either Walbridge Loyal. I think it's Walbridge Loyalist Road, which will be the road it's available from.
Right.
Because that's the reason I couldn't watch Leafs games in Belleville. Because all of a sudden we were in Senators territory. Got news for the NHL. Belleville, Ontario is not Senators
No,
territory.
it's not. I don't know if anywhere is Senator's territory.
Ottawa? I mean, not
Maybe.
downtown Ottawa, but Canada, Orleans,
Yeah, for some people.
Nepean. I mean, not the beating heart of the city, just, the people that work in the beating heart of the city.
Right. Yeah. There's yeah. I the whole that whole sort of regional disparity thing I hope is going to be just disappearing soon. I can't hold out too much hope, but that's how I feel. Like I feel like it's not sustainable in a global environment
Yeah.
where we have this one network that we're all on.
Yeah. Is the idea that people will be more motivated to buy a ticket to the game if they can't watch it on TV?
Uh,
Because
I
that's a
hope
really
not.
that's a really stupid reason if that
Yeah.
is the case.
I think that's why some of the blackouts occur.
Yeah,
It's
and that's
like,
stupid because no
if
one's
it's-
actually going to make that judgment call.
Well, no,
Mhm.
if it's not sold out, I think they black it out.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how could you, what? Just yeah. Well, I can't watch this game on the TV for no additional cost to what I'm already paying. Clearly, I guess I'm just gonna shell out $100 for the ticket and ride an hour and a half total on the bus to get to effing Canada, in the middle of a freaking cornfield.
Pay
To watch
$12
the
a
game.
beer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very strange system.
Yep.
There's an NHL Game Center. I guess they would call it a feature. I call it kind of not a bug, but like a bug in the system, where on NHL Game Center, if I want to watch the Montreal Canadiens, sometimes I can watch them in French but not English.
Unlike RDS.
Yeah, and that's very odd to me.
But that works out for you.
It's fine, but
Is it
it's
odd
weird.
to you that the French language network would make it available to you? Is it odd that the French language network would probably exclusively cover the Montreal Canadiens?
No, I mean I agree with that, but the weird thing is that it's not available, or that it's available in French but not English. Why not just have it both available or neither?
What's the big difference, Rob? Like, Zalabu! What do you got against Zalabu?
I have nothing at all. I watch it in French. I have done that. It's fine. It's just weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think for the majority of their fans, I don't think it's that odd.
No, yeah, for the majority of their fans it's not, but for some
But for me, it's like you can watch the Maple Leafs in Punjabi, Nick. Why can't you watch the Habs in English?
but you can also watch the Leafs in English.
Yeah, that's not the. Okay. See, the argument I was making on your behalf was
Yeah.
that a minority audience of the Maple Leafs are able to watch in their own language,
Right.
but you're not able to do the same thing.
Right.
That's what I was trying to get at. And then you're like,
Yeah.
you can watch the Leafs in English. It's like, yeah, it's not surprising given that the majority of their fan base is English.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so if you found that suddenly that option was unavailable to you unless you were, I don't even know what I would need to subscribe to, or if I would need to live in Toronto to access that. But it seems weird to regionally restrict the English viewing of a Montreal Canadiens game, just like it would be weird to geographically restrict the Punjabi broadcast of Maple Leafs or Vancouver Canucks games. It's just odd to do it geographically.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Glad we settled that.
I wasn't saying like regional disparity was odd, but
Yeah,
Anyway, I'm sure you'll manage.
I do manage. I just watch it in French if I can't in English. We have one more story here. How about before we wrap up, Nick, you have a story about coffee.
Do I ever? And immediately before the show is usually when I do my final prep,
Hmm.
and I go through everything, and the story would not load for me before the show, which was fun. That was interesting. So instead of the story, there's possibly a doctor on YouTube that had done a little review of it.
Hmm.
But Mike,
Hmm.
when did you last drink coffee? Ooh.
Right now. Yeah.
When did you start drinking the coffee?
Today,
Yeah.
when we started, about an hour and a half ago.
Okay, so in as little as half an hour, your DNA is effectively protected. It's protected from strand breakages.
Nice. Am I pleased about that? I don't know what that
You
means.
should be. Do you
Okay.
usually is damage to your DNA sequence usually a good thing?
Well, uh, isn't cell duplication caused by DNA splitting and then rejoining or something?
Yeah, that's cellular mitosis, but that's like
Yeah.
a slightly different thing. Like breaking isn't quite the same as splitting.
Okay. So enlighten me.
Well, I can really only go off the, very, very limited breakdown I got from the YouTube video. But
The
they ran some tests where they had healthy adult males drink some coffee or not drink coffee, and then checked their blood 2 hours later, just because, that's when you're guaranteed to have everything in the system. And much lower rates of breakages in the adults who were drinking coffee. And it was interesting because this guy actually broke things down. It's like, so it could be due to this, or this, or this, or this. And there's like, also the previously documented health benefits of coffee are this.
right.
But yeah, I thought it was really interesting because it's like another thing that coffee has come up with, or they look at coffee and go, hey, it's also doing this for you, so that's good. I wonder if it's like one of those potentially evolutionary things where, like, the cultures that developed beer and tea tended to do better because they had a sterile drinking source or drinking water source. Maybe it'll be like those cultures that figured out coffee will be the ones that thrive into the future. Fun note, highest levels of coffee consumption are in the Nordic countries,
Makes sense.
which many believe to be the best countries.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Rob, get on the decaf train.
I'm probably not going to. I don't like the taste of coffee.
That's a
It's
shame.
not, it's not the caffeine that I
Yeah.
am concerned with. But
Uh, your,
yeah.
your DNA, man. Aren't you
Studies
hoping
like
to have
this.
kids?
Yeah.
Don't you want your DNA to be in tip-top shape for your progeny?
I think it'll be fine.
Will it, though, Rob? Will it? Do you not want to
It.
give the best you could possibly give to your offspring?
I feel like I'm going out of my way to do that. Just not with coffee.
It's a shame, man.
I know.
I just hope you apologize to your children every single day of their lives. Be like, yeah, I'm sorry. I just find it kind of bitter.
You, you know what I find weird about this? And obviously, I'm not going to go and pay for this um, access to the study results themselves. This
Obviously.
the person that uploaded this video that you've linked to has reported on numerous benefits that coffee has, and other than after sort of increased alertness, which they state is the obvious benefit, they have
Yeah.
treatment for headaches as a benefit of coffee intake. And I feel like this person is getting caffeine headaches or just
No,
really,
like Tylenol has like the Tylenol extra strength migraine or whatever it is.
Yeah,
That
there's
has caffeine in it because it releases the blood vessels in the brain, and it's frequently constriction of blood vessels in the brain, which leads to headaches.
Mhm.
So caffeine is actually a treatment for that.
It's just if you're a regular coffee drinker, your body adapts to the more open vessels, and so when you don't
No,
have it, it's
I'm
just
aware of
worse.
coffee withdrawal symptoms, but that's why it treats headaches.
Yeah. I'm just saying the cause might be the same as the treatment there. Particular scenario for that particular symptom.
Yeah, that's what you're going with, Rob.
Nick, I feel like this has been a confrontational episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
I still don't know why DNA breaking is bad. This article I looked at talks about free radicals, and that sounds like antioxidant type.
And there are antioxidants in coffee, which
There
might
are.
be the reason for that.
Mm-hmm. Mike, I think over the next week you should do some research into why DNA breaking is bad for the human body.
I can imagine why it might be. I need specific symptoms like it's higher
Well, I was
cancer
going to say,
rates
like,
or whatever.
I'm assuming, like, there's going to be a lot of redundancy. Redundancy used in the engineering sense of the word, Rob.
Yes.
But there's going to be a lot of DNA redundancy within the body. But, like, if all of a sudden you're relying on a book to read about how to, I don't know, build a
cake.
tower.
Yeah.
Bake a cake, sure. But then, like, you rip out a chapter in the middle or a chapter at the beginning or the end, all of a sudden your cake's probably not going to be all that it's supposed to be. And there was a pause in which they all thought about cake baking.
I'm trying to figure out. I'm sure I could still figure out how to bake a cake if one page is missing.
And that's the
Well, I
thing.
mean, you're going to open the book and it's like, you'll take the now baked cake and begin icing. And you'll be like, uh-oh.
So
I don't have a cake in front of me.
So what it can lead to is mutations. And so, for instance, let's say you're baking a cake, and you go to the ingredients list, and you see that you need sugar and eggs, and then there's 2 cups of something that starts with F. And
Formaldehyde.
yeah, exactly. So you think, okay, well, I can put something in here. I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be, and you end up baking a cake that's poisonous and kills you. At that point, what you end up getting is something like, I mean, cancer is a lot more likely. For instance, when if a random mutation or a random DNA breakage ends up breaking instructions in that way, it can give you cancer. It can remove protections that might end up giving you cancer. Like that's why, like UV exposure is bad, because you can get a melanoma. Like that, UV light can also cause DNA breakages in the same way that some foods can, or that free radicals can.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's dangerous, and why, given the constraints of this study, if it is sort of verified fact, why having coffee would be good to protect.
Well, they don't actually know the causal mechanism.
Yeah.
They know it's causal, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't. They outlined 3 or 4 different ways that it could be protecting against DNA breakages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Apparently, there were 2 other studies that correlated, one from 2007, one from 2010, that suggested the same thing. That correlated drinking coffee with reduction in DNA breakage.
I might go have another coffee.
All right. In that case, Mike, I'm gonna push your last story here to next week. We've gone much longer than we've been talking about.
Wait.
Going.
I actually really want to talk about that one.
We'll talk about it next week, because there's a lot we want to say.
Next week? Oh no!
We wanted to have a conversation about NFC cards anyway, so we'll save that whole discussion for next week. And then, so I guess in that case we'll just, is there anything you guys want to talk about in an after show, or are you guys satisfied with with things for the week.
I'm always left satisfied after this show.
Oh, good. In that case, I'd like to thank you for listening to this week's Future Chat. We'll be back next week with more science and tech talk, and you can find past episodes of the show and more at unwindmedia.com/futurechat. See you next time.
Ciao.
Toodaloo.
Do you guys have anything to talk about? I said I'd be done by around noon.
How come you opted out of your story?
To be honest, I first missed it, and then I saw how long you were going without it.
I even tried to segue into it.
I know you did. I know you did. I heard it.
That's okay.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I almost did it, but then I was like, you know what? We don't need this now. We can talk about it when it actually comes, because
Right. I guess
talked
that's
a lot of mobile stuff.
We did. Thanks for bearing with us, by the way, Nick.
I don't know. In those cases, there were actually interesting subsets of the topic to talk about, and we are trying the new format, as far as I know, and we're trying to go deeper on these things.
Yeah.
I was trying to really probe the depths there, trying to get some good penetration on the story.
Nick, I have some bad news for you. CES is next week, and there might be some fluff that comes up.
Oh God.
I don't think there will be. I don't think.
Are we going to talk about the killing off 2-year contracts in the middle of talking about CES?
I think it's going to be a lot of like really boring new gadgety stuff that doesn't actually matter, but something might happen. Yeah. Like Apple tends to drop big news in CES week or right before CES starts.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, CES is usually a lot of gimmicky stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm not as enthralled by CES as a lot of other conference or expo type things.
I don't actually know why there would be a difference, but I'm sorry that you won't be more excited.
Say like Mobile World Congress or IFA, those are more like actually useful device specific. This is like, here's a basketball hoop
MWC or IFA is much better than CES.
No,
it's
like
the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s of,
Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
We'll see what happens.
Is for you guys, your thumbnails on the lower right, are they freezing instead of being animated? Okay. Because mine
froze for you a couple times.
Because mine it shows whatever was the last image, and it doesn't actually move with you guys.
So I'm gonna try and do this for you, Mike.
Bah!
Yeah. So here, I'll show you. Where's my screen share? There. So that's what my screen looks like right now.
That's amazing. Oh man.
Like it just shows whatever the last image was.
Right.
That's what I've seen all episode. And at first I thought it was Nick freezing, but then Rob, you're doing it too. So I was like, this was happening. So anyway. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, Rob, I'll let you get going because you have 2 minutes till your deadline.
Okay. I'll talk to you guys later.